Hey everybody, Nick Beal here again. Today we're going to talk about how to prep your images and get them uploaded and your orders submitted for getting your prints coming to you. So I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, we are in Photoshop again, right? I thought we were ready to go. I thought we were done. We're really close, right? So this is, up to this point, we've just gotten the image identified, cropped, all the good stuff, put a border on it, all that. But we need to get this ready for printing. And by that I mean we need to take into account the format in which we're printing out. In our case, these are, since these particular images are movie poster style, they're tall, taller than wide. So if I look at my image here, I'll just go to image size, canvas size, whatever. I'm just going to tell you the same thing. You see that our width is 33.5 inches and our height is 46 and essentially a quarter inch. When you go out to places like My Fabric Designs, they will tell you fabric in widths, right, per yard. So yard is 36 inches. And then it'll give you width. For example, Performance Knit is 60 inches wide, for example. It's one of the widest ones they have. If we look at this and say, okay, well, let's take Performance Knit, and it's 60 inches wide per yard, we're at just barely, we're at probably what, 55, 60% of that width. We're wasting a whole bunch of width. And our height is 46, a little over 46 inches. Well, if the height per yard is 36, we now have to order 2 yards of fabric so it can cover both of these. We don't want to do that. This thing will fit on a single yard of fabric. We just need to make it so that it's more wide than it is tall. So let me do that real quick. So image rotation, and you do clockwise, counterclockwise, doesn't matter. It's just going to print on the fabric, right? And when you get it, you're not going to remember that you printed it quote unquote sideways. It's just going to come as printed fabric. I'm going to do the same thing with Force Awakens. Image rotation, clockwise. Whatever, can be counterclockwise, like I said, whatever. You just want it more wide. Now, when you look at the image, either one, image size again, now it just basically flip-flopped, right? So now the 36-inch height per yard, we're under that, which is what we want to be, and then our width is under the 60-inch for Performance Knit, right? We'll look at some other options of what you could print on as well, but again, that's a common one. We'll talk more about fabrics here in a second. So you're just going to do that. Just make sure that it's more wide than tall. Again, if you have something that exceeds those limits, we'll need to figure something out, right? If you, sometimes I get people say, oh, I have this image and it's 37 inches in height once they rotate it. And I go, oh man, that'd be really stinky to put, pay an extra yard just for an inch. Let's see if there's something else we can do. You can't make things up with fabric, don't get me wrong, but you can certainly, factor in, maybe some minor changes here or there. As long as you don't have your frames built, you're good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and save these. Since I'm not gonna come into Photoshop again, I'm gonna exit these out, and it'll automatic prompt me if I want to save them. Yes, save that guy. I have saved multiple versions of these. I know I talk about that all the time. If you ever want to do that, just do a save as, whatever. I'm gonna save it as the same thing. JPEG. It's gonna ask me if I want to overwrite. Yes. Always, this is something I should mention. Always save in the maximum quality. Right? I mean, why not? So close that out. And there's my Photoshop. Let me get my Photoshop covered up here real quick. Let's go to our images. So here's our 2 images. They are sideways. I'm in my ready to go folder. The Toy Story one is 12.7 megabytes. And the Force Awakens is just a hair under that at 12.6, right? And we started with, I don't have them saved. I actually don't have the very original saved, but they're around 2.5 megs to start. And now we're significantly larger just due to the enlargement process. We've added a border, all the things you do to it make it a little bit bigger. Now let's load up. That's really it. That's prepping for My Fabric Designs. Now let's go to My Fabric Designs. All right, I'm already logged in. So what you'd want to do is I recommend making an account, because then you can track things. That's how I get the coupon codes every week or so. Is just because I have an account with them. And I'm flagged on there. I really don't go out here very often and print anything. I mean, really, I think I've done 4 sets of prints, and 2 of them have been My Fabric Designs, and 2 of them were a previous company called Spoonflower that we used. So, I don't come out here all the time. I really just do that just so I get the coupon codes. So right here in the middle, upload, right? We want to upload our images. So I'm going to say here, you read this, blah, 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 blah. We accept files, JPEG, so on and so forth, up to 50 megabytes in size. Okay, sounds great. Select my file. Ignore that. That's my videos for this. We got the ready to go. So I'm going to just do the Toy Story one, right? Doesn't matter what it's named. When I do these for other people and for myself, I do follow a naming convention. But for what you guys are all doing, it doesn't matter, right? This one I would do, I'm kind of anal. I would do toy underscore story underscore 4, then do dashes. And I would put the image size in inches and include the border, right? So I have that all done there. I include decimal points because honestly, you can have more than one decimal point there. It doesn't matter, or period if you want to call it that. So if I do like a 25.5, I would do dash 25.5 x 38.25 x 4 for our border being 4 inches. So, and as you can see, like I said, this isn't that big of a file, and it's still uploading. There, it's done. All right, let me do another one. Select another file. Let's get the Force Awakens. Oh, never mind. It beat me to it. It jumped off that. I was trying to upload them both at the same time. That's fine. So we're going to use this one. You say, well, that's not right? I mean, something's offset here. Something's wrong. Well, the first thing you want to do is, ignore this message. This file is larger than 6,000 by 6,000. Your tiling options will be limited. Well, we're not tiling anything. We want it to be centered on the fabric. So right now it's on tile. We want it to be centered. Boom. So there we go. Try not to click over where it's zoomed in. It automatically centers it. So you can see how I said there's going to be white space. There's a little bit of white space here, a little bit of white space there. You obviously have some width. There's some white space. This is using their basic comb cotton. That's what they start with. I don't recommend basic comb cotton. Another YouTube people, I think actually all the YouTube videos that are currently out there as of today being, was it April 23rd, 2001, they all recommend basic comb cotton. One person said it once, and that became the default. As of right now, that's not my recommendation. These colors will come out way more muted. The darkness, like the contrast in like Woody's jeans and the backside and stuff, even Buzz's black parts of his suit will come out kind of washed out. It's just not a great image quality in the end. Other than that, it's fine. It's fine for acoustical absorption panels, but I don't recommend it. Design size. You shouldn't have to touch any of this. If everything's been done right, if your image size is what it's supposed to be here, right? This includes the border, 46.25 by 33.5 at 150 DPI. You don't have to touch anything. You don't do any of this. Just leave it as is. Now we get into what fabric we want to use. So it will give you a bunch of choices. The ones that people have used, again, you can use basic comb cotton. That's fine. I just don't recommend it, right? I'm most people, I want this to look great. I want it to look as best as possible. The next one up would be, I'll slide down here. It's going to be, there it is, Silky Fail. Feli or whatever, I don't know, whatever it is. I pronounce that really wrong. So here's the problem with this. This is only 42 inches wide, right? We can't use this one. It prints really well. Acoustically, it's not the greatest, but again, for absorption panels, it will absorb most of what we needed to. The mid frequencies on down. Usually, we have plenty of absorption elsewhere with thinner materials that absorb the things that might get reflected by this fabric. But it's cropping off our top and bottom borders, right? This is another fault that I see where people will have their border won't go all the way around their image. It's because they picked a fabric that wasn't wide enough, or their image was a little too tall, and they said, "Well, let's deal with the white." And they never go back and fix it. Whether, whatever, how you want to fix it, if you want to, if it's a little bit, you can use like a Sharpie marker, which is what we use. And we'll talk about that in the video on how to, assemble your frames and that. I put those marks on the Force Awakens one in the previous video for how you find the corners when you have a black border on a black edged image. You just take a Sharpie marker and just dab it. Don't rub it on there. Don't, you're not drawing, you're just dabbing it. And it makes those those gray markers that we put in the corners disappear. Well, you don't want to do that for, a quarter of an inch or half inch or an inch worth of white material. So I don't like this one. For me, the best one all around is Performance Knit. Now, again, there are problems and benefits of all of these fabrics. Performance Knit, probably with best color quality, best blacks, best image quality of what's currently available. It's also the widest. It's not the cheapest. It's not as cheap as basic comb cotton, but you're getting a lot better image than you would be with that. I mean, a lot better. But here's the problem. So Performance Knit, it stretches. That can be good and bad. For most people, that is quote unquote bad. They don't want that. If you have a lot of text, or if you have things that need to be straight lines, that can be a problem, getting them straight. Now, I've used Performance Knit from Spoonflower. I've used Performance Knit from my fabric designs. Honestly, Spoonflower's was a little better. They won't print anything that looks like a movie, TV, or music, anything, right? Any characters, any posters, any album covers, anything. They won't do any of it. So we don't use them anymore, right? But they actually had a really good Performance Knit product. I don't even know if they even make that anymore, to be honest with you. They may have discontinued that completely, but it was great. It was extremely acoustically transparent, but beautiful prints. Um, but anyway, so it's pretty good at my fabric designs for sure. But when you have something that stretches really easily, when you go to staple it, if you start overstretching, you're going to take your straight lines and your words, and they could end up a little bit wavy. Now, the alternative there too is that the benefit you have is depending where you staple things, we'll talk about where to staple on the back. You can actually, you can staple things down and get them real close and say, well, hey, this part needs to be stretched just a little bit more to get the, maybe it's the sky or right over here by the carousel, merry-go-round, whatever you want to call it. Maybe that needs to be stretched just a little bit more. Well, you can stretch it and add another staple, or you can unstretch it, so to speak, stretch from the back and staple it there to give yourself a little more room, versus stretching it towards the back, stretch it away from the back, and restaple it. And you have that flexibility. If you do that with the other fabrics, you get zero stretch. You can't make a correction, but at the same time, they are more easy to keep straight to begin with. So I just put that out there because that is probably the biggest downfall of Performance Knit. It's a benefit. I had no problems keeping things straight. I even have in my office where I'm recording this right now, I have, five triangular shaped acoustical panels. Now, they are not using OC703 or anything, right? This is just so that when I'm here working from home all the time, that when I get on phone calls and I get onto things like that, that I've just killed off the echo in the room. The vocal echo from me in my room is significantly reduced. It's not perfect, but I really don't care. I'm not in a critical listening environment. So they aren't super thick, but they're triangular. So it makes stretching them a little bit different. It's a little more awkward. And mine, you'll see it here when I get into some of my designs. They are there's a lot of lines on them, a lot of lines in the image, and I have them all straight. So it just stretch a little extra here and relieve some stress, stretch a little bit there. So don't be too concerned about that. So anyway, we have to pick something, Performance Knit. Again, if you want to use basic home cotton, I'm not going to go out there and smack someone upside the head or whatever you want to say for using it. I'm just saying that if you really want your pictures and that to pop, I would not use it. I would use the Performance Knit and deal with the stretch. You have to be mounting these takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. It's not hard. It just, it's not going to just go on there and lay perfectly flat right where you want it to the first time anyway. So, why not take the extra, 10 minutes, because it's going to take a little bit to staple these on. Why not take an extra 10 minutes of that time and be able to use a better quality looking and possibly performing fabric? So anyway, that's all that. This is really all you have to do. Again, you center it. Everything else should be good here. Just verify your size is right. Ours is right. Pick your fabric, 1 yard. Now, we talked about before, if you have an image that's like, let's say this is a square image. It was this quote unquote tall, which in our case now has been rotated to wide, but let's say it was square at, that 38.25 inches tall by 38.25 inches wide. That's obviously going to take more than 1 yard. You would just up it to 2 yards. It will automatically, I don't have an example of that, but it would automatically take that and it would fit it onto the 2 yards. You'd center it, of course, and you'd have, potentially a lot of extra space, but it would work. Our case, again, for this one, we want 3 yards. I want 1 yard. And just add it to your cart. Boom. And it is $25 currently per yard of this. I get a discount. So yeah, I don't even have to put in a discount code. I can get a double discount. I get a discount not because of what I've done. They just put it in my account and didn't tell me. I kind of reached out to them once. That's because I've sent so many people here. I just don't know of any place else to go. To be honest, I have no affiliation or I don't get kickbacks. I guess this would be a kickback if I needed to print something, but I get this discount just because my account is out here and I've brought so much business to them. They didn't tell me they were doing that. Again, if you find a better place to go, please share. The whole community will switch. I am not tied into anybody. This just happens to be where we currently have for an option. So $25, you go, man, that's, if I have 12 images to do or whatever, that adds up. It certainly does. It does add up, but you're still going to be significantly less cost than, than going with somebody else's product, right? Where it comes to you already made. It's just way less. Do not, as a fabric, I don't know if that actually is valid right now. Do not order from them without putting in a discount code. Check the forums for discount code. Shoot me a note. Hey, what's the latest coupon code? Whatever it is. Let me know. There's almost always, might be a 1 day gap here or there, almost always a discount code. Do not buy these things at full price. 10% is a really bad discount code, but it's at least a minimum you should get. 25% is about as good as it will get. Black Friday, a lot of times will be 25%. Sometimes you'll get your first order will be 25%. Again, set up your account. You'll get some of those coupon codes right off the bat. 15 to 20%. 15 is more common. 20 does come out every now and then. But yeah, it'll offset. I'm not going to get through the whole thing here because it's going to also show my address and so forth. I just don't want anybody to know where I live necessarily. I live in Iowa if you care. I live in a town called Marion, Iowa. You could probably Google it and figure out where I live. But just, I don't know what else personal information is on my account page. So don't care other than that. But anyway, make sure you put a discount code in there. It will offset some of the shipping costs because there will be shipping on here. Depending where you live, you might have to pay tax, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do a new design upload. This one will go way faster, right? We're going to select file. We'll just bang through this one. Force Awakens, go. And while that's uploading, like I said, this is the worst part of the whole process is waiting for it to upload. And it's not that bad. Now, some people say, hey, can I take a bunch of images and put them side by side and upload them as one file? And, they're all such and such width wide. And I think that after, 11 images, or excuse me, not inches, 11 images, I would get the 12th image free. You could do that. I think the problem you're going to run into is your file size is going to be well above 50 megs. And you really have to do the math on that, really think through it. I thought I could do that when I was doing my original poster. Actually, I don't even have poster images. I have other artwork images that I've designed that are in my theater room. And it just didn't work out. The math didn't work out. And then even if I wanted to, the image sizes were too big. So, all right, here we go for this one. I'm not sure why it's not popping up. Come on, there it is. All right, we're going to center it again. We're going to select our fabric, which I'm going to, oops, I scrolled way too fast. Performance knit. I'm going to add it to my cart, right? Pricing is $25. Again, I think basic home cotton right now is $17.50. So again, you are paying another $7.50 per yard. But again, the color, the image will pop more, kind of like these do. Now, if you do come out here and say, all right, these are my designs, I want to, save them, and maybe I don't want to do anything now or whatever. Again, if you have an account, you come out to My Designs. Again, the website is slow. It is not my internet connection. Their website is just not very quick. I said, you hit this should not be this complicated of a site to be bogged down this much. It's always that time where you go, do I click again? No, I didn't click it again. Okay, so it saves them automatically for you. So here's my Force Awakens one. Here's the Toy Story one. Here's a Chicago one. I was just showing somebody how to go ahead and do that. So this one takes up an entire yard of performance. It's 36 inches by 60 by 4. Actually, no, excuse me. This one's just over a yard by the border. It's actually has to be 8 inches past a yard on one dimension, and actually I can scratch that. Technically, it's 36, so 44 inches wide because we rotated it. This one we made taller because it wasn't going to fit the other way, right? Otherwise, you have 68 inches wide. So we had to do the opposite of what we did with Toy Story and Force Awakens. It was a wide image. We had to make it tall, and it takes 2 yards. Because you're at 68 inches, so 2 yards is 72. These are my triangle images. I wasn't sure if I was going to go with something colorful or something black and white. I printed it all because I'm like, I can, right? You have the space on the fabric, why not? So I printed it, and you see all these little, and they are vertical in my room, vertical lines. But it took me 2 yards of fabric. These are rotated sideways. I didn't know if I want to color in my room. It's gray walls and that. I opted for the black and white. And there's all the vertical lines. And like I said, performance knit. Printed fine. I actually have a white border, so I didn't have any border, just left it blank. And that's kind of how they look in my room, kind of like that. They are, I don't even know, 23 inches, 22 inches along the length there of each side. So whatever. Anyway, so you just go in your cart, like I said, and you have to order them, and you go through the whole deal, and you're done. That's it. And they will show up. Gosh, I'm trying to think. I don't even know what the lead time is right now. There is a warning saying that there's a delay in some of their printing. Please expect delays for pigment printed fabrics. So pigment printed fabrics, what is that? All right, so pigment printed is basic comb cotton, the one we don't really like that much. I wonder if that's why. It's a different printing process. Performance knit is sublimation. So that's probably why that's different. And that's why Silky Fali or whatever, however you want to pronunciate it. That's why those two look so good, is it's a different printing process. I wouldn't necessarily try these other fabrics. A lot of these have been tried and are just horrible. Jerseys and terries come off really textury. Silk is prone to wrinkling and just seems delicate. Same with chiffon. Canvas is just, it's like canvas. It's really too thick and hard. Don't do those. I don't know the faux linen slub and the sheer. Obviously, you don't want anything sheer because you can see through it. Quadrate Performance Sport Knit. Again, it's pretty pretty textured. You can definitely get things out here. You can get fabric samples, I believe. There is, if you go into fabrics and pricing, you will see these are actually aren't that great of representation. Basic comb cotton, right? It says expect delays. And you scroll down and you can see some things, they're linen cotton blended. Even their example shows that it's got creases in it. There's performance knit. But you look at it, you go, well, that's got a texture too. Yeah, but when you get it, this texture is so fine. They've zoomed in so far on that. Same with the silky. You can't really notice the texture much at all. So just kind of, I think you can get, again, I think you can get fabric samples from them that you can actually print something on if you really want to try something else out. But I just think that right now, unless someone really has a desire to try something different, use the performance knit and go from there. So that should finish out, let's see, the prepping the printing, and we did that one, and placing your order. So that's combined here. So we should be good to go on that. Next is basically you wait for it. You wait for your fabrics to show up. They will come folded, which is unfortunate, but they'll come folded in a packet. So, and it'll seem a lot smaller than what it should be, but it's how they come. Anything you have, like I've got the two images in my cart, they will come as separate pieces, right? So they will be cut, but they'll have plenty of white space around them for us to use. And again, when we get to the assembly process, we will cut that off extra. So that's what I have. This is probably the end of the bulk video tutorials. Most of the other things, I'm not building panels right now. I can try to do a video where I show some video, or it's not some video, some photos of other people's panels and so forth, or even things I've done along the way. I might do that. That might be faster than typing it all out and doing screenshots and so forth. And then hanging your panels, right? And those are real simple topics to cover. So for right now, this might be the end of the video series. Again, at some point I will do things with GIMP software for the video part, but right now I just want to get through all these things, get a kind of an A through Z of how to do the process, from finding your images and coming up with your themes, all the way to this, getting them ordered, and then the assembly and hanging of things. So I can't think of anything else right now, but we'll keep this one just slightly under 24 minutes, and appreciate everyone sticking through it again. I'll get these things uploaded here shortly, and hopefully these are things that people are finding useful and helpful. And as always, if you need something else, just reach out and let me know. Thanks, everyone.